I met a gypsy.
Gypsy Gang, and today, before we get into this episode, just going to give you an announcement of a new sponsor that I actually chased down to get them on the podcast, and that was because I really wanted to start using their products again. Now, if you've been following the podcast recently, you would know that we're on a massive health kick as we get ready to take on World Vets at Glen Helen in November of 2023. Athletic Greens is not only an all-in-one formula that helps me just cover all my nutritional bases, it's also the first healthy habit that I have that starts every single day. It sets the tone for a healthy day and just keeps my eyes laser focused on Glen Helen at the end of the year. Definitely notice improvements to my skin and massive improvements to my overall gut health. AG1 is packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients of the highest quality that are able to offer gut health support, mood support, can affect your energy each day, and contribute to overall healthier looking hair and skin. Go to athleticgreens.com/gypsytales if you want to get that free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs added to your first order. Thanks so much to the guys and girls at Athletic Greens. We're excited to have you on board.
So,
Yum. It's actually pretty good.
oh, it's way better than what I thought.
Mohammed Al Balooshi joins us on Gypsy Tales for the very first UAE podcast here in Dubai, mate. So thanks very much. I've been excited to do this one with you.
Thank you for having me. I told you I don't know if I'm worthy of this interview, but let's see how it goes.
No, you are 100% worthy of this interview. I feel like there's a bunch of there's a bunch of things that I want to know about, I guess, like the area, two-wheeled riding in the area. Obviously, you've had so much to do with it. With the MXRide, you were one of the first Dakar athletes from the UAE on two wheels, so I feel like you're the perfect man to give me an education on how riding in the UAE has kind of gone down. And I'm sure just not even just from the riding standpoint, but just like the UAE in general. I mean, you were born here, so it's like you've seen some crazy change over the years.
Yeah, it's been like growing up in UAE, Dubai is special. Yeah, and it makes you also different than rest of the Arab world. In a way, you have to progress with the progress. You have to learn. And what helped us is like Dubai is like multicultural nation, and then with a lot of expat living here and desert being our background, of course, also it helps to be a motorhead, but for me as a kid, I remember we didn't have many roads or many cars that what we see today. All we had is desert, and this is during my lifetime, and I believe I'm not that old. I'm old, but not that old.
No, I mean you're still young.
So Dubai progressed a lot, and for us, I'm happy and proud to be UAE national.
So, what's your first earliest memories of the UAE? What was it like? Because everyone now, I mean, even I was just having a conversation on Instagram before, and the guy, there's like a guest in America that I'm trying to get on the podcast, and he's like, "Oh wait, you live in Dubai?" And he's like, "Well, you rich? You got a Rolls Royce?" And I'm like, everyone's got this, I guess, idea of Dubai now, but I don't think people understand that. I mean, 30 years ago, like nothing was here in a sense.
For me, I remember, like I said, not many roads. I remember when I was a kid, having a drive with my dad to my grandma's house. I still remember these roads, and there weren't many. And it was like leaving our desert house from one area to going to my grandma's house, which is next to the sea. And it is not many malls. There was maybe one mall which was just started. It's called Al Gharir Mall. Like out of all of now, I don't know how many are they.
It's
I
crazy,
don't know,
huh?
hundreds. I don't know. So yeah, it grew quite fast for us, and yeah, you need to adapt, and also the mixing the cultures is always interesting, and then respecting others, and they have to respect us, and that's the boundary. That's always there, but yeah, as long as we respect each other, we can coexist, I think.
That's one of, I think, the things that people might not expect coming here is like how multicultural it is, but also just the level of like courtesy and the niceness of people. I mean, when I first came here last year, that was one of the things I'd never been to the Middle East in general. And I think especially as a Westerner, you kind of have certain ideas about the Middle East. And then you get here and it's just like the nicest people ever. And then even my brother, he was just here. He came for Abu Dhabi Challenge. And he's like, dude, I can't believe how nice everybody is. And I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise, but I think it is to a lot of people that there is such a niceness in the culture.
I think it has to do with a lot of upbringing. My father and my grandparents, they struggled in life, from having nothing and working hard labor and then having all of this. So you don't lose that, your recent past and how you grew up, and that helps you to be nice, because when you have nothing going in life, you have to be nice to coexist, to appreciate, to have some sort of sense towards life. And so I think that's why people in UAE are really friendly and nice and welcoming, because I think everybody can relate to what I just told. The struggle. So when like in 60s the oil came out, and then boom, the country started changing, and people don't change. You can change things, you can build things around, but your core of you is still same. You are that guy who struggled not long ago.
That's such a good way to put it. And I think that when you have nothing materially, what you have is family and friendship.
Exactly.
And then I think that the desert, before all of this, before the big malls, before the freeways, before all of the, I guess, wealth came here, there was like it's hard to live in the desert. And it's one of the things, I mean, when I go out and ride at MXRide, it gives you such an appreciation of how tough it must have been for just Arabic people in general to just survive, to get to the 1960s. That to me seems crazy.
100% is can you imagine traveling from Dubai to Abu Dhabi?
1 hour.
Now it's like boom, 1 hour, but back in the days I heard the stories like they used to walk. And this is not long time ago. It's like late 50s, 60s, and this must have been a difficult one. From the stories I heard, that they a couple of houses will have one car, and then they kind of use the car together to commute. It's not easy. And selling water or on camels, on donkeys. Going around in the neighborhood selling water. So basic needs like water. Many neighborhoods didn't have. So to go from that to this is like blessing from skies.
And I think that it's that basic need for survival that humbles people. And I think that's one of the themes I think that you kind of get with local people that you meet here, is people are just extremely humble, and I'd say that it comes from that background, like you said.
100%.
So what was your first memories of riding? Like, how did we go from you living that very humble background and not many roads, and to being at the Dakar?
For me, it started as a passion. I always wanted to do it when I was a kid, I remember every time we were traveling on the weekend from our house to my grandma's house, I would sit in the back of my father's car, and we will pass one of the dealers, bike dealers, on the way, and they would display the mini bikes on the window, and I would have a daydream. Man, I don't understand how it started, but I was very young, and I was like, man, I would bother my dad, hey, when you gonna buy me, a dirt bike? I want one. Look, there's one every weekend. And then he will play along. He will ask me, so what you gonna do? I say, I'm gonna ride on the streets. I'm gonna do wheelies. And he say, but the police will catch you. I say, no, nobody will catch me right now. So he'll play with me, with my age, and he would talk, like this.
How old do you think you would have been around this time?
Maybe 6, like this, And so finally, he took me to the dealership, and then we saw a mini bike, and the salesman. Now, when I think about it, he was not a good salesman. He said to my dad, your son is too little for this bike. Maybe in a few years. So I didn't get the bike. And then I remember a couple of years after that, but I kept bothering him one way, bugging him. He said, okay, your next birthday, I'm going to buy you one. And I was, I believe, 9, going into 10. And I was waiting for my birthday, and then my father passed away week before my birthday. So I never got my dirt bike. So it stayed with me, and somehow I grew out of it. I was very good soccer player. I was doing martial arts. I never thought
What martial arts did you do?
I did in America. I was studying in America. I did it's called Red Dragon Karate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The stuntman from Batman, Chris Casamassa, I think his last name. Yeah. He was our instructor.
Really?
Yeah. In
That's
LA.
crazy.
Yeah. I going from Dubai to America.
I never knew that you did that, actually.
Yeah, I did that 2 years. I did that 2 years. I went all the way to brown belt.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 2 years. You don't have much to do, So I was doing a lot of weights and a lot of martial arts.
Did you ever ride when you were in California?
No. The thing is, back to our first question. From that time, from the time of my father's passing, all the way up to 19, I never did it. I never had. I could not afford it, and then I got caught up between a lot of activities, and then study. And then when I was living in America, our complex had a few families with dirt bikes, and I was like, you don't know.
It just never left you.
Yeah, it's like I would look at it. Yeah, it's nice, but I was caught up. I was a teenager. I was like, I was living a dream, like an Arab guy from Dubai in 96-7, living in America by himself as a teenager is not normal, For me, I enjoyed that, and somehow I never got to dirt bikes. Only when I came back. So for my first memories, I would say 1999. I bought where I could buy my first dirt bike, and I did, and man, I did it just to get it out of my system, because it has to do, it has to do something like a memory with my dad, and so I thought, okay, we had a spring break. I say, I will ride it for 2 weeks, and then it's out of my system. Now 22 years in.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it is my first memory when I was 19, I believe, 18, 19.
Man, that's such a wild start. Do you ever think about how different life could have been if you got the bike at 9? Man,
I could only imagine. I think with me doing it so late, there are many disadvantages. But also, you never know, maybe everything, the cards played
the right way.
The right way. But of course, you can only go further the more time and experience you have on the bike. And for me, I struggled from the get-go. When I was 19, I was in the region. I was racing with guys who started like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So, and then now they are my age, but they have like 15 years of experience.
Yeah.
You understand? So this was difficult. So I had to double my time on the bike and basically play catch up, and which I did. And yeah, I never thought in million years that I will get picked by Red Bull, for example.
Yeah.
So
You were the first athlete in the UAE for Red Bull, yeah?
Yeah, in 2003. I signed 2002, 2003. So I made
that's 20 years this year with Red Bull.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I made big progress in 3 to 4 years, and that's with all the injuries came with it. So I doubled down the time. And what helped me is like my background with football, with martial arts, with the
so you were athletic and you had that mindset.
Yeah, and I heard this quote many times from all the instructors. Yeah, you need to have 10,000 hours in order to be. I never understood it. Like a kid, you hear this.
Yeah.
You hear it from one ear, it goes out of the other. But when it came to dirt bikes, I knew this was the gap, and immediately I applied this. Somehow it stored subconsciously. So I was like, okay, so it just no rocket science. I just need to put in time, and I did.
Well, that's the cool thing about here is that you can put in as much time as you've got fuel, really.
Yeah. For me, up until like first 10 years of my career, desert started from my house. Like I opened the gates, the desert started, and now there are many highways anyways there. So the first 10 years I was blessed. Like I would not have wasted time. Like I wake up, I'm on my bike, so there is no travel time.
Yeah.
Like 40 minutes going, 40 minutes, no travel time. So there weren't any excuses.
Yeah.
So for me, I wake up. Boom,
you didn't have to rely on anybody but
yourself.
yourself.
No, nothing. I had a jerrycan at home, fill the bike, boom, go. And then when I was also, because before being a Red Bull athlete or picked up by many sponsors, I still had to work. And this is from 99 till 2002-3 season. So I would put in my motos before going to work, or immediately, and sometimes both, before and immediately after. And then this is how I made the progress.
So what kind of riding were you doing? Like, did you just go and make a track and you had like the same desert track that you rode? Was it like motocross? What was your...
In the beginning, because I started as a Baja rider, I would just do straight line, from point A to B and back, because I was racing Baja desert races. And then I remember there was a year that the federation stopped the racing, and I was addicted to racing. Now I liked the whole atmosphere, the butterfly you get in the morning, and then they told me there's a motocross. So I went and I watched. I said, okay, I wanna do motocross. Man, I didn't know how to corner. I didn't know how to corner. I felt like, okay, I put in so many hours, but just going straight. As soon as I had to turn.
That's so good.
I could not corner. I was like, what is this now? So I had to learn motocross, like you have to kind of...
Have to brake,
yeah. You have to hit your marks. Yeah. Like in the desert, no, you just go. And then if you are a little bit long, you are a little bit long. Yeah. You just need a good lower back. And so I had to learn that, and that took a minute, and but I'm glad that they stopped the series, and that gave me the chance to understand, man, I'm lacking a lot. And then I started getting cassettes at that time, watching the AMA and side by side or bar to bar, and these I think these are the best years of, in my opinion, of motocross during Carmichael era. I learned a lot, and I would watch and pause and rewind and watch how everybody is riding, and try to get I would wait. I would see the interviews, and maybe there are some, because when you are
tips in
because when you are, I know I can relate, because when you win or you do well, you kind of let go. You kind of give away some secrets as well, because you're caught in the moment. So I would note down all of this info and try to apply, and that's really, it helped me, because at that time there weren't YouTube, so so it's difficult to get information. So this is how I did it, basically.
It's such a cool, you essentially just took this on as just like your life's project. My family in the beginning were against me, because it was completely different path than all my other fellow Emirati guys who's like doing normal job from 8 to 3 or to 5, for example, and they had a career with either engineer or pilot or police officers, like a normal job. And then here am I, and trying to pursue my dream and passion, and way late starter, like the odds is against me, like massively, and I don't 19, man.
I don't know. I think you hear this a lot, that passion drives you, hard work, perseverance, all of these big words, but you never think about it a lot until you just grinding and going day in and day out. And
I know what you mean.
And it's easy. You see now a lot of influencers, they use these big words, and them themselves, they don't do it. And I think for me it was all of these words. I just, because there was this dream that I would chase that feeling of that ride, like it doesn't matter what you achieve, the feeling you get after riding is that satisfaction, like the peace within, and this what I was always, and still I am behind, and that helped a lot with my progress. And then of course during that time where I was picked by Red Bull, I got to know Giorgio Bay, who was 5-time world champion, motocross world champion, and then he basically took me under his wing. I went and lived with him in Belgium. I learned a lot more there, racing in France and Belgium. And I remember when he came to visit, he was investing some in the upcoming project at that time. And then a friend of mine told me, hey, there is this guy, there is Giorgio Bay coming, and he wants to have a desert ride, and you are the guy. Who else can?
So like someone to take him out into
in the desert. I didn't know who was Giorgio Bay, because he stopped before he retired in '94. And then for me, I was like, okay, I didn't know. I thought he's a friend of friend. So okay, let's go. So we went to the ride, and he was at that time maybe my age now, but I saw him as an old man, I don't know why. Now this is funny. So I went, and every time I look behind, he's on me. I was like, man, this old guy can ride.
Who is this dude?
So we reached, so in the way back, I felt like I'm holding this guy. I say, okay, this is our direction. I follow you now. He said, no, you ride. I don't know desert, you ride. So we went and shook hand. Good ride. I never heard of him. I never see him again. Then after that, for let's say a month, I get a phone call from my friend Graham Hill, who set up this meeting with the guy, and then he told me, hey, Giorgio Bay wants to meet you. I said, who's Giorgio Bay? I totally forgot about the dude. He said, he's telling me, you don't know who's Giorgio Bay? I said, and then I remember, I said, yeah, I remember the guy who we took out. He said, no, but you don't know of him? I said, who is he? He said, he's 5-time world champion and all. You know, he gave me his CV basically.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
4-time runner-up, 5-time world champion. I said, but why he wants to meet me? Yeah, he has some ideas. So I met him. He said, yeah, he has this program. He thinks I got what it takes, and he wants me to go, and he will take me under his wings, basically. Man, at this time, I had nothing to lose. I was so invested in this sport. I was like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I go, and then he realized I could not corner. When we went to Belgium, so first I'm riding.
He's like, is this the same guy?
Yeah, he went like this, and he got all his famous rider during his era. And then he was like, when I passed, he was like this.
Oh.
He was like covering his face. And he said, hey, what you doing? He said, man, I don't know how to ride motocross. He said, how someone can be so good in the desert and so bad in motocross? I said, this is me. So then he forced me to learn, and he taught me a lot with the, to control all the controls on the bike and learn how to ride.
So you just this was you'd go first, second, third,
fifth.
Fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
no clutch, no brakes, and then just going straight.
I'm that guy from drop off to drop off, hit, like this. And
because there's such a, so that might sound simple to somebody that has never been out in the desert, but I feel like the desert is kind of like the ocean. It's the same as being a surfer, in that a good surfer doesn't just know how to paddle and stand up, because that's basically what surfing is, right? If you want to explain first principles of surfing, you see a wave, you paddle, you stand up. It's that easy. And what you're describing is like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, hold it wide open. It's that easy. But it's the same as surfing, where you can only be a good surfer if you can read the ocean and you know the waves and different sunlight, like the nuances that you would have to understand to just go fast in the desert is like, there's as many variables in that as there is in cornering and motocross.
100%. And there was no first for me until I met Giorgio Bay, by the way. Well, he said, this corner, why are you struggling this corner? I said, I don't know.
I'm in fifth gear.
Usually I will break third or fourth. I never broke second and first, never. So he told me he had a track in his backyard in Belgium. And he said, why are you struggling here? And he wants me to analyze. He wants me to find, like, troubleshoot the problem. I'm not that good. So I say, I don't know. The corner is slipping. I'm making all the excuses, but, like, nothing wrong with me. He said, what gear you're turning? He knows the problem. I say, I think I'm third or maybe second. He said, no, you're not second. You're third. I said, should I be second? He said, no, you should be first this corner. Hey, I always thought why there is a first gear. Because I would start always second. Yeah. Believe me, most of the rider in UAE or in the Arab world can relate, because we ride only Baja races. So second and off you go.
That is so funny. And so how did it get better? What was that progress like?
Just a lot of drills, a lot of cornering, a lot of figure eights, a lot of oval drills, many hours of this. And still I struggled, but I understood, to be good, you need to master all the controls on the bike, and not only being good in reading desert and going straight. So I was good at this, and So this came hand in hand. You know, it's like motocross is like karting for Formula 1.
Yeah.
You know, so it's important to have a solid foundation as a motocross, and then you can apply it. Either you go to enduro, extreme enduro, supercross, Baja, cross country. You can apply what you learn.
Yeah.
So this I understood.
And so I guess like, man, it must have been so humbling to just get there and even to go there knowing that you couldn't ride motocross like that. That must have been pretty daunting.
Yeah, for me, yes. I remember my first meal after the ride. My head was down and he was laughing. He was very hard coach. God bless his soul. He was very hard coach, but he would always laugh when you're completely kind of given up. Yeah, like you are ruined. He would laugh, and that would kind of piss you off. But it will bring.
It's a good motivator, huh?
Yeah,
if you're the right person that can handle it.
Yeah. He was that. He knew how to push my buttons, and then I was like, okay, let's go. You know, the following day I would finish 2 jerrycans of 20 liters. You know, like hours on the bike, and then he will punish me. He say, okay, now you need to wash. You know, Belgium is always muddy.
Yeah.
I would wash my bike,
dude,
his bike.
Even washing bikes would have been a random thing to you, because like you don't have to wash anything here.
He had to tell me day one what goes where and how the procedure goes, like the steps, and then I had to follow, and then from that day I was the washing guy. Yeah,
you've had the coolest career. Like doing it the way that you've done it is probably more rewarding than doing it like the traditional way, because man, what a crazy roller coaster that you've had to go through.
Man, I tell you, but really, if it wasn't for him, a lot of doors would not open, you know, for me. And he knew at that time I will not make it in motocross, even though now I got addicted to motocross because I started getting better and better. But he knew there's a dead end, you know. And he told me, hey man, you need to focus when time comes on the desert racing. And then in 2011 he told me to go to Dakar for 2012. So I did a lot of international races, like Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge that year. So I did a lot of races at that time in order to qualify for Dakar. But during 2012 he got diagnosed with leukemia, and I was mentally a mess because he's taking care of me.
He was almost like a father figure.
He was, because I lost my father when I was 9, and then Giorgio Bay appeared when I was very young, like 20, I would say 22.
Yeah.
And he basically, I did everything what he told me, you know, how to train, how much to train, what to eat, what races to do, you know, how to behave. He taught me how to become a
man.
Yeah, and a professional to deal with the sponsors and all of this. And and he was one of the guys who was always fighting for like riders' pay.
Yeah,
I remember to his last days, and he told me never settle for something less than what you deserve. You know, he gave me that self-value. Unfortunately, now you see a lot of riders. They will ride for a ride. You know, like they will put their life on the line just for a factory ride or just for a bike, and that's damaging the sport, in my opinion, because if you're lowering down the bar, then you know how we gonna put our sport in a spotlight where it deserves to be, you know. And he always told me, hey, you always get what you deserve, remember this. And then always in the meeting when I would negotiate with the sponsors, this helped me a lot, you know. And so basically back to 2012 when he was that year he was struggling with leukemia, I was morally really down, because this time he was very strong individual, and for me it was difficult year, because I could not ask the guy who's fighting for his life, hey, what to do. And for me, the escape was food. You know, I gained a lot of weight, and in the very next season he passed away, or end of that year. And for me, I thought, okay, I'll stop racing, and basically started the academy. So they were I had an idea to start a school, because I didn't know what to do. So nobody teaches you, okay, how to save money when you're making good money, you know, through the sponsor. So I was living what I got. If I got X amount or in my contract, I will live to that lifestyle. You know? So now I'm almost down, and I didn't know what to do. So friends, they told me, hey, why you don't start coaching? Because I was helping guys and stuff. So I started, me and my good friend Chris Mockley, we started the MX Academy in Dubai, and it took off. For me, it was just something to rely on, like because I had no plans, no plan B. It was just to make it through racing. So I started coaching people, and I wasn't doing so well, you know, mentally still. But by coaching people, I came out of that bad phase, because I would talk like him. I will use his theory in explaining things. So I would hear him by me saying, coaching others, and it uplifted me. And
there's something about helping people too. Like I get a lot of joy from, like, even, you know, to go ride with like Basil, it's like a couple clicks on suspension. I'm not the best rider in the world, but I love that feeling of like watching someone progress. And it's the same with jiu-jitsu. Like I love being able to coach people. It's there is such a feeling of fulfillment that comes from there. Sometimes it feels selfish, but the other person's getting help as well. So it's kind of a win-win. But I could see how that could bring you out of like a more negative time.
This definitely helping people helped me a lot, you know. And so the academy took off, and we started doing really well with numbers. And also for me, it was also to give back, and also the struggles that I had growing up or in the sport. When I started, there was no schools, nobody to coach you or teach you. Until Giorgio Bay came, then I understood how it's been done. So for me, I felt like it is my responsibility to bring awareness in the region, not only in Dubai. So I started a school and clinic in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, Lebanon, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Mauritania, Egypt. So I went around just coaching, and that helped me a lot. So this year I was super busy with this, trying to understand what I have, like the brand MX Academy, and I was like, okay, let me see where it takes me, you know. And I was so passionate. I saw, like you say, when you help somebody, you see them getting the benefit. And when they can apply what they learn and they achieve something, you feel part of that success, you know. Now, regardless if it is in a race or it is during that training session, if they can jump something that they weren't jumping, or they can take some corner where they weren't doing it right. So for me, that was a big reward. So I kept at it, and then 2013, a friend of mine started like sporting agency, and he told me, man, he wants me to race cross country for him.
Yeah.
I said, man, I'm not fit. Really, I was not fit.
Were you still overweight at this time?
Yeah, I was. I was a foodie one way. I was training.
How much do you reckon you weighed at your heaviest?
86.
Okay, that's pretty thick.
Yeah, and I'm like 73. You know, like 73 guy. So I was like 12, 13 kgs overweight. But I would still rip on the bike. I was
Bit
okay.
extra traction.
Yeah. So I say, but Maher Bedri, he told me, I started this sporting agency called Sports 2. I want you to race the first round of the cross country world championship in Abu Dhabi. I said, man, I'm not ready. He said, no. I say, okay, when is it? He said, in 2 weeks. I said, what? He said, no pressure. Hey, from the time, I did not say yes, but from the time I hanged the phone,
straight for a run.
Yeah, straight for the run. Started running every day, and then I was like, I will not lose 13 kgs for sure. Kgs for sure not. I'm not losing that, but at least my breathing will be a little bit better. So I said, no pressure. No. He said, just finish. Start and finish. So I did.
Because at this point, you're an ambassador for the region. Like, people know who you are.
Yeah.
And you're a big part of motorcycles in the UAE by this point.
Yeah. But for me, I wanted to
You're a competitor.
Yeah, I'm a competitor. I wanted to do good. And I finished, I believe, like 6th. And I surprised myself. I beat a few factory riders as well. I was like, okay, I got this. Of course, it helped. It was in my home country, in the dunes, and of course, if I was in shape, I would have done even better. But
that was enough to motivate you.
Yeah, and then I was like back on the track, and never looked back. Yeah, kept on grinding, and everything was going parallelly so well. And then 2020, I started MXRide, so everything still, touch wood, is going on well. Still racing. I don't know if you ask Mohammed Al Balooshi in 2012, you'll be racing
Dakar in 2022.
No ways. I was out in 12 finish. I had the best opportunity where you can buy a seat with the factory. So I was 2012. Giorgio B arranged the whole thing. So I was with the factory KTM, where we bought a seat. Basically, you buy a ride, like in the Formula 1.
Yeah.
And that they don't do it for anybody.
Yeah.
You have to.
You're essentially, they're signing you, but you've got to bring money to cover some of the expenses.
So I did that. I was part of the factory. I did the testing, and then I did the race. And again, the Alex Doringer at that time was the team manager. He told me just to finish.
Yeah.
And because I was a mess in the head, and I blew it when we reached Chile. I had a big crash, broke my hand, my shoulders. Yeah, and then you get one chance, So for me, it was over. And Giorgio Bay passing away, and I was like, okay, my career is done. My good days are behind me. So from there to now, still racing, and still people wants to sign up and want me to do the racing and put their logos. Is still living a dream.
Well, I think it's a testament to your character, though. Like, I think that people, there's definitely there's people that they keep getting rides and they keep getting drives because of performance and because they're always in the running to win the race. But then there's people like yourself that will always have people signing up as long as you want to do it because of the way that you represent and the way that you carry yourself through that. And it's so underrated in a lot of, I guess, maybe people don't place as much importance on that. They think it's just about the results. But I mean, there's definitely something to being such a good ambassador and carrying yourself a certain way that I think will always keep people wanting to go as long as you'd want to go,
Yeah, I would like to think that, yes. But also the competitive in me wants to do well. And, our sport is super dangerous, especially when it comes to cross-country rally and Dakar is super dangerous. The crashes happen on high speed and...
Without warning.
Yeah, and you see every year either, close friends crashing and having close calls, or some of them pass away. And it's so difficult to keep that motivation, and because everything has to do with self-confidence. Riding is basically
the easy part.
Yeah, and you need to be on the bike confident.
Yeah.
So for me, from 13 until 18 was my best, I would say. From 18 till now, I'm so hesitant on the bike. The confidence is not there, and is a lot of hesitancy, and it's like, ooh, and you don't know what's coming, and these things I was good at,
Back in the 13 to 18 you were...
Yeah, and I was like, I liked when you don't know what's coming, and you ride your way out of it, until I could not in 2018, and I had a big crash. And from that time, I'm so hesitant. And I don't want to quit. I want to get out of this. Now if I hang my boots, is like, you're going out when you are down.
You want to get that feeling back.
Feeling bad, and then maybe hang my boots. Now it's been 4 years, still not. I don't know, is it to do with age? Probably. But I would like small part of me is like, no, you will get it. You'll get it, because I think the coach in me, or the teacher in me, would say it is only in the eyes, because a lot it is in the eyes. So because now I'm so tense, I think when I'm going through this, I'm not looking at the right place where I'm supposed to look. Where it used to come to me naturally,
I would look ahead.
It's not, it is as easy as sounds as saying look ahead, but where to look ahead, to spot, not being in constant surprise stage. Something coming. Oh, nothing is there. You think there's a drop off, nothing is there. You think it's cut dune, is nothing there, and then you commit, boom, there is a big drop off,
and then it hurts the confidence even more.
So this was coming to me naturally because of many bad big injuries. This is gone. So I've been trying, and I don't know, hopefully soon.
Because it is because I've been riding out at MXRide, and it's so different to me. And I've just found myself staring at my Mudguard, the whole time that I'm riding. And at home, you're right, like you can lift your vision a little bit more. And it's like if you're driving a car on the freeway and you look just in front of the hood of your car, then it's gonna feel like you're doing 1,000,000 miles an hour. But if you look up and look all the way out, you're giving yourself so much time to react. So it makes total sense. It's like you say, if you're looking while driving so close, the guy in front of you will brake, like this. But if you look 4 or 5 cars ahead, the braking is coming, so you kind of slow down instead of being... You don't even have to hit the brakes. You make a lot of sense in that way. So what was the crash in 2018?
In 2018, it was in Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. I remember... riding with Toby, and he's,
that'll
Toby,
get ya.
Oh man, for me it was so nice. This year was the best year. I did good a few stages before. I met him stage 1, and just going behind him, and man, he was like on it, like drop. I went day 1 behind him. He came past me from behind and kept on going. So I was like, okay, let me latch on, and I did. And then 1 drop off, 2 drop off, 3 drop. I was like, okay, until when? My back cannot take it. So I let him. I say, okay, I cannot hang with him. And he was gone. I think he won that stage. And then I think he had a bad stage the following day or something, where he had to start again behind me. We were day 3 or 4, if I remember. So he passed me from what I remember, and then he pulled the gap. And then I don't know what happened. I started catching back again, and then after at the refueling, we were almost same time. And then we left. When we left, he kind of looked back and he saw me and he said, okay, you lead. I was like, oh, fuck. You know, it's like Toby Price. I was like, okay, let me lead. And then I was leading, and then every time we come to drop off, I will put my hand up and trying to show him, hey, there is a danger. And I kept riding. I felt this day I cannot do anything wrong, especially from the refueling. And then now I look back, he was not there. I was like, man, I'm on it, you know, like in my head. Yeah. And then I see the road book. I think we had like 15 Ks in, but to go to the finish. I was like, man, I should be somewhere in the good position today. And I remember a little bit sidetracked, like what I'm gonna say.
Like you're thinking something.
Yes,
different.
thinking too ahead, too much ahead. Like at the finish line, it will be this or that. Woke up, all I see, his face over me. Hey, buddy, you okay? Okay, don't move, like this. No. I was out. I don't know where we were, and then I remember, I asked him, hey, where we at? He said, don't move. I said, no, where we at, really? I said, don't move. We in Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. I said, but I didn't enter. And I asked him, what year is it? He told me 18. My mind was stuck 2016. I said, what 18? We are 2016.
No.
I swear. He said, no, don't move, no.
Wow.
He already called the helicopter. And then I don't remember much. And this memory I know because he told me what happened, because I wanted to know what happened. So I asked him what happened, and he told me the story. This is what I kept on asking him, what year is it? And then I told him, oh, it's a dream of mine riding with you, talking all this. So then I was lifted to the helicopter, to the hospital. I had a major concussion, and and then this kind of big incident where something major can go wrong and you come out of it, that can cause a big dent in your confidence.
100%.
Because once I heard confidence is like putting layers. Every time you ride is like one layer. You know, every time you have a good moment, good race, is like one layer. You put on so much work, is just one layer of confidence. So you, in the end, let's say you have 3 months of good riding or 6 months of good riding, good training, you end up with this many layers. One big incident, bad incident, not one layer goes. It's like big chunk of it is gone. And then you need to build again. It doesn't come back in big chunk. Yeah. It comes back in one page at a time. One page is like a book.
Yeah. You know? And then as you, like you were saying, from 18 to now, like you've struggled to get that confidence back. It's like you've got kids, you've got business, you've got all of these different things now, whereas in that period from say 12 to 18 where you were able to stack those layers, stacking the layers gets a lot harder the older and the busier that you get, the more commitments that you have. 100%.
Yeah, you try, you know, like I try to make balance between coaching my and both MXRide and MX Academy and me training. I'm not doing as much on the bike. I do a lot pre-season and then kind of maintain, because really riding after good solid riding the way you should be is with age your body needs a proper recovery. All the joints
especially out here, man. Like dude, it fries you riding out here.
So I do a lot like pre-season and then during the season I just maintain. But I do a lot more in the gym and with weights and fitness and stuff.
So what is your racing schedule these days? So Dakar, and then obviously like Abu Dhabi, Desert Challenge. Like how many races are you trying to get in a year now?
So this year our plan is to do the full Baja World Cup.
Okay.
I would like to win it one more time. So I'll be doing eight rounds. So we did already Hail in Saudi. I leave this coming Tuesday to Qatar, is round 2, and then from there we go to Spain, and then the tour in Europe, which is Spain, Hungary, Portugal, and then we come back to Dubai, and then Jordan final round.
Yeah, and what's the program like? You're running your own race team essentially for this?
Yeah. I like now I'm doing it for how you say it, to build my brand.
Yeah.
So I'm going in with my team, my own mechanics, and
it's the same guys that are at MXRide?
Yeah, same guys, and creating that, giving them the experience as well. And in the race you kind of learn a lot as regardless if you're a rider or a mechanic. So I'm trying to build that and see maybe we have a third way where we can benefit from getting more income, where we can support other riders as well. So now between MXRide and MX Academy, I'm trying to introduce like the race line, or where we can give racing services. We already started since 2 years. We get clients who wants to race under our team, which is really nice. For me, the guy who was passing by that showroom as a kid never thought God will bless me with these opportunities, and I'm taking it all in as I'm getting all these opportunities, like I'm trying to make most of it.
Yeah. I mean, and it is just crazy to think that being that kid that was just constantly driving past the dealership, to think the life that you can make in motorcycles. And I think that's one of the great things about motorcycle racing and motorsports in general, is you can make it a lifetime pursuit.
I think if you find your true passion or what you want to do, this is a blessing itself. Because a lot of guys, they don't know what they want from life. We all know one thing is certain: time does not stop for nobody. Time goes. But during this time, let's say if we are lucky 75 years, you need to have a purpose. And I promise you, a lot of people I interact with, they still didn't find that purpose. And for me, luckily I found this, and this is what I want to do. All my message is through this. I sit with a lot of people. I would say they will not give me a time of their day if it wasn't for this riding a dirt bike. In the end, I'm just riding a dirt bike. But they give me their time, and they are holding the highest post, and because they see how passionate we are about the sport and about this sport, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. Like for me, I understood once I started doing well, and I understood, okay, my message, what is my message, and how much forward I can go with it. And so I really try.
You do a good job of that. And I think that it's one of those things where I think that motorcycle racing in general, it takes so much discipline, it takes so much hard work, it takes so much dedication. Like, you just can't get to where you've got to without showing all of these characteristics. And like you said, there's these people in high places that hold you in high esteem, and I think it's because they recognize that this isn't given. You can't just show up and do what you do. No.
It's a lot of hard work, and it's not as easy, because I have Emirati friends they think I became good because I have all these sponsors. And then I have expat friends. They think I have all these sponsors because I'm an Emirati.
Yeah.
And both are not right, because I got where I'm at because I put in the work.
You got where you're at because you burn 20 liters of fuel every
single
day.
Yeah, I did a lot, you know. And remember, every time you are doing well and then boom, one major injury happens, it sets you back. You have to come back again, and this was and it still is a story of my life, you know. It's just keep on being there, I think, is the secret.
Yeah, showing up. Yeah.
A lot of people, they're afraid to show up. And I understood this from day one. Yeah, I just need to show up.
Yeah.
And I did show up, and you know, and eventually doors open, and regardless the doors of the good racing or good result or sponsorship or opportunities is all
built off that.
Yeah. Showing up.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, they don't just show up because now whatever the reason is, you can. Most of the time is just you being lazy. Yeah, but
or scared of failure.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are scared to fail at something and scared to put themselves out there and then not succeed the thing. Like, even for me, like this whole move into Dubai thing, like there's so many times where I've wanted to go home because it's so hard, and it's like I've got my studio there, and it's so easy, and I know everything, and I've got everything. Everything's easy for me there, and then it's like, you know, I put up like a big blog post the other day, like explaining this is why I moved, this is what I want, and then you have thousands of people that read it and see it, and then now I can't fail in like front of all of those people because you've just said that you're going to do it. But I think that there's such a, like, that's a terrifying feeling to put yourself out there and to state your intentions, and then to be faced with the possibility of not living up to those expectations. It's a heavy burden, and it's way easier to go through life without ever putting that out into the world and then having to live up to that expectation.
100% agreed. Yeah, I think people are scared of failure, and especially if you share your goals.
Exactly. Yeah.
Putting it out there is because once it's out,
it's
the pressure is
like I've thought about that since too.
You go to rev limiters quick. Yeah, the one thing I learned, like always speak about your goals to close circle people, and that helps because they can guide you, the trustworthy people. Never explain or reveal your major goals to the public, because also that takes away from you, because once you said it feels like you kind of achieved it, because it gives you that
true.
It gives you that
gives you the little hit.
That you feel like I'm all of that, you know. Because you have this noble thought, but you haven't walked it yet, you know, like
I
this.
Completely agree.
So it's very important to choose what to say, when to say, and to whom you're saying it. It's important.
I've thought about that a lot before, because I think when I was a lot younger, I would do that. Like you'd say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and then people would be like, oh yeah, man, I could see you doing that. Like, that's awesome. And you get almost a feeling like you've already achieved the thing that you said you were going to do. And that is a real trap. Yeah.
For me, when I was about to start the MX Academy, happened like quick.
Yeah.
MXRide took a
bit more of an undertaking.
Yeah. And then I kept my mouth sealed. And then I took my brother Sultan and my best friend Abdullah Shatti to the spot there. I say, what is this place? I say, this is, and nothing was there, just desert.
Yeah.
I say, we're gonna have a center here. I'm gonna have a workshop, storage room, a track, a small beginner level supercross track. They both looked at each other, and they call me captain. They say, "Captain is smoking something." And then it took me a year to set up everything, and then boom, COVID hit. So nobody knew. I kept it silent. Only these two. And Mario, who helped me with to run the business. And then once the restriction was lifted from going out, like to go out during COVID, and I announced it then. I say, okay, this is the place we have. Nobody knew. I kept on working for a year and a half or something. And then I just announced it when we were allowed to go out, you know, and that was the best feeling for me, because I knew if I spoke about it, it will weaken your drive, you know. Yeah. So I just kept it to myself and just close circle people. I just told them, and that's it.
It's a crazy achievement out there, that track. I mean, I think for me, I've been to a lot of tracks all over the world. That has to be one of the gnarliest motocross tracks that I've ever been to, and one of the coolest facilities. I was actually on FaceTime with one of my best friends back home. I rode out there, I think a couple Saturdays ago. I rode with Basil, and I was out there sunrise, like it was just beautiful. And then I was on FaceTime with Sam, and I was showing him he's like, oh, so what's the deal, like with riding out there? And I was like, oh, I'll show you. And I turned the camera around, and I was showing him from the car park, and there's like the logo there, and I was like, yeah, that's like the little kitchen kind of area. They've got, like the food there, and then that bit's the workshop, and then there's like toilets and showers, and then they've got change rooms. And showing him, he was like, this is like incredible. And I mean, Australia, we're so far behind when it comes to, I feel like you probably feel like the UAE is far behind in terms of the racing and like the club, like Australia's got a full national series and all the the factory teams and stuff like that. But in terms of facilities, like MXRide's one of the best facilities that I've been to, and it's like, I think that I actually didn't know that you'd only started it since COVID. I thought it'd been around a lot longer, but I think that there's some really cool stuff coming for out there.
First of all, thank you for this kind words. I started in 19. After I won the Baja World Cup 2018, I saw His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, Crown Prince of Dubai, and at that time I told him what dream I had, or what idea.
Because it is a dream.
Yeah, for me,
like, that's a crazy vision to pull that off.
Yeah, so I told him about the vision and my idea to have a place in the desert where people can experience the desert, but also it's like a motocross, and where you can train for motocross, Dakar, from motocross to Dakar. Because you have the open desert there. And I've always thought I have something. It will be it has to be something special than where nobody has it, And he said, okay, how big is the land? And then I told him I need this much land, and boom, it happened. So 2019, I spent a lot of time developing the place. And then 2020 hit, COVID, lockdown. I was like, man, I don't know. At that time, nobody knew how long this nonsense will last, And then, for me, I thought maybe, again, I have to sell everything to survive. I don't know. And then when they lifted the restrictions, I was like, okay, now full gas. And then of course it held us a little bit back, but also it gave me time to think and to play my cards right. And I think we are at, honestly, maybe 40% of what I want to do from on the place, and soon we will announce more stuff.
Because I mean, it's funny. That was one of my big things moving here when I first came here. And I went out and went with Sammy Sunderland. Yeah. And he was riding out there. And he'd told me, and I'd heard, it's funny because I'd heard things about the track. I'd heard things from Toby. Yeah. I'd heard things from Sam. Yeah. I'd had Jeffrey Hurlings told me about it. And I'm like, you keep hearing it, this MXRide. It's like out in the desert. It's this crazy track. Yeah. And then I went out there with Sam and I was like, I will suck so bad here. Like, I've never ridden anything like this. Like, this is going to be gnarly. So that one of my things moving here, that place out there was like one of the things that helped me move here, because I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure out how to ride this track, and it is gonna kick my ass for months and months and months. So I'm just like, I bought my bike, I'm setting it up, and I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to ride that track.
Hey, this is really nice track. Yeah, and what makes it nice is the wind changes all the drop-offs. Yeah. So every time you have a wind, it's different the following day. Sometimes during the same day is different. Yeah. So that keeps you. I think it's a good thing you did. You got yourself a bike, and maybe we have to go ride together soon.
Yeah, we still haven't got to ride together. Yeah, I want to do a desert ride too. There's so much stuff that excites me about being here over the next few years. Like I really would love to do like a Gypsy Tales tour, like people that listen to the podcast, to bring them over. I don't know how long we could do it, maybe like a 4 or 5 day trip where they fly in, we get like a cool hotel for people to stay at, we get people back and forwards every day, couple days on the motocross track, maybe one day like coaching with the academy, then a desert ride. I think people would lose their mind to come out here and just like see what is out here.
You know, we have a hotel on the place as well there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there is like a small bungalow style. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You can come and stay there and then ride from the place. Saturday I'm having a desert ride. You are more than welcome to join.
All right. How far do you go on that thing?
Maybe we'll do 120, 40.
How do you go with fuel?
There is a gas station. We ride to the gas station, have a small break, and it's like mixed level riders, like good riders, slow riders. But anyways, I go every 5 to 10k, stop, regroup, and go. Yeah. If you're up for that, come Saturday morning.
Could be keen. Yeah. I've already been humbled a couple times out there. I had the first time I cartwheeled Basil's bike for him because I was riding his bike, and I went off you got like the S sections now. I think it's like a newer part of the track, and then there was one that I thought it went right. I thought it was a turn straight after it, so I've sort of jumped into a bit of a turn, and then I'm like, oh, that's just a wide open straight, cartwheeled, and then I cartwheeled off one of the drops the other day. So it's a humbling place out there. But there's a really great community of riders here as well. Like, it's a small community, but it seems like a really close-knit community of guys out here that ride, and girls.
I think everyone is passionate, and everybody is there to help build the sport. And I think is once you are a dirt bike rider, you are similar character, and like you said, we don't have the level as you guys have in Australia or America or Europe, but the passion is the same. You would see, especially in the school, you will see the same feeling, a guy who will hit a jump maybe 20 meter long, and you'll see a guy barely leaving the ground. Same feeling. Yeah. Same feeling. And they both can relate. Yeah. They both can have the same conversation.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah. How much has the scene changed over the last, let's say 20 years since you've been on Red Bull 20 years? Yeah. So how much has the scene changed here? Because the Middle East, the UAE, the Middle East is motor crazy. So there's always been this passion. Why do you think that is to start with? Like, why is there such a passion for anything that you can put fuel in the Middle East.
I think we are more passionate about racing. Because before cars and bikes, we were racing horses, camels, in some areas donkeys.
Yeah. That makes so much sense.
So from that to this, there are like horse races, big, and big. Camel races are big.
The Sheikh has one of the biggest like horse racing like teams in the world, right?
Yeah. We have horse racing from like sprint races to like endurance races, like 120. I don't know how long they go for, but I think racing is the key. I think we are more into racing.
That makes a lot of sense.
So when we had I would say before dirt bikes were invented, desert was how it was portrayed in all the movies. It's like death, survival, or in all movies. Now dirt bike comes, now we know the purpose of desert. It's like a Disneyland for riders. So I would say being from Dubai or from UAE is I think is the way forward if you want to be a dirt bike rider in the discipline of Baja or cross country. Because we have the most challenging dunes, most challenging desert, and variety of it. Different kind, different colors of sand means different things, and this only happens when you ride a lot here. Like right now, who's the best desert rider in the whole world? By far is Sam Sunderland. No one can come close to Sam because he
spends so much time in this desert.
Man, the way he understands dunes, and I think he's got it. He knows where he sees. And this is, I think, a lot of people are lacking. He knows. Maybe he doesn't think about it. I need to speak to him about this actually. To ask him how he does it.
That would be sick. You and him doing the podcast together. Because it's like what I said before about it's like being a surfer. When you're, I don't know if you've ever surfed, maybe when you're in LA, but when you're surfing, the surfing itself is so simple in theory. You paddle and then you stand up on the wave, but then to look out the back to know the sets when the sets are coming, and if there's 5 waves in a set, and if the second wave of the set is the cleanest, and if the swell is on this direction, what it's going to do, and if the wind is on this direction to the swell. And I think the desert would be the same thing. Like you would be able to identify, like you said, with the colors and the way the wind is going.
But then he does something which completely does not make sense. I remember one of the stages on the last day, one of the desert challenge, Abu Dhabi desert challenge we did, and it was reverse order. So the top 10 start in reverse order, I think, something like this, if I'm not mistaken. So he was leading the championship, the desert championship, the Abu Dhabi desert challenge, and then he started 10th, and I started, I believe, 5th, because I was 5th. So I started 5th. He caught me within no time, and remember, at that time there was 2 minutes apart. At that time, now it's 3 minutes.
So he's 10 minutes behind you.
10 minutes behind me, but he made that time within no time, like quickly on me. And he's the only guy I cannot like even ride little bit with, not even little bit.
That's amazing.
And at that time where my confidence was to highest, and we come to a dune, and it's like blind spot behind, like you cannot see what's behind it. He comes past me and he jumps it as if he's been through this place 100 times. And then he was gone. I saw him for that brief moment. He made that 10 minutes on me and he was gone, and he won. So it's good. It's important to ask
what he's seeing.
Because sometimes also the guys who are good riders, for them it's difficult also to explain how they do it.
Yeah.
But if you kind of try to squeeze them, or just to break it down, or ask them maybe, let's say, 20 questions in order to get some answer, some sense out of it, it's good. But I would say it is in the eyes.
Yeah. What do you think, like, what are you looking for in the dunes then? Because so that the back rhythm section of MXRide, that's where I got zero confidence, zero skill, zero awareness, and like I've ridden there maybe 5 times and I still don't have the confidence of remembering even where it's at. So like, what are you looking for in those dunes?
I think it's a long track to remember, but it is, with time you will remember. But what you look for is developing bumps, and then where you can use these bumps as landing, and you need to know how long you can go, because most of them is like harsh landing, and then you need to know how long you can go before that harsh landing. And sometimes, because now there is let's say a pocket is developed from the guys, and then after this pocket there is a bump, so all you need to do is clear the pocket, and then it kind of catches, and it will be like half a bike length, but it becomes like a landing. So this is what you need to be aware of, and basically go a little bit further every time and find it's like flirting with a thin line with your limits, you know? It's always good until
it's not good. So when you're doing like an Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge and you're in these dunes for the first time, and like you said, every day in the dunes is your first time, basically, because of the way that the wind is shaping them. Like, what do you, because you've spent so many years in the dunes, do you have like a recipe of what you look for when you know that it's going to be a dune that you can jump, or when you know it's going to be one you have to back off on?
I would say, again, it's where you look. If let's say you're coming down the dune, if you were a little bit late on spotting the next, before you coming down, spotting the next up, because if you are coming from previous dune and you kind of have a look what's coming, and kind of gauge how much further you can jump in, to the coming up dune. But if you miss, as soon as you are like on the slope down, then it looks just it's blind. Now you are in this state of hesitancy. You will go, and then basically, if you are a normal human being, you will back off and tap off and brake and use it as a braking point and come down, and then you will kick yourself because you lost 1 second or 2 seconds. And if you see it, if you spot it well, then you can jump in. And I think that's a big key to this. But then if you're coming from if you start the stage, there were some stages where you start from high dunes and the whole stage is like you kind of going down. Then you spot the lighter, as soon as you see lighter layer of sand, let's say you start with a dark yellow sand or red sand. As soon as you see light color almost to white, 9 out of 10 is a drop off. 9 out of 10 is a drop off.
And why is that?
It's just, this is formed sand from the wind. It's just formed. It will not look same as it is, And then also there is another way. Let's say if you don't spot the coming dune from the previous one, then the shape of the dune, if the shape is like arched like this, again 9 out of 10 it has a belly behind it. 9 out of 10 it will not be a drop off. But let's say if you're coming from the opposite side, if you kind of spot, let's say you're going this direction and then you kind of spot there's a kind of a belly to it,
then it's a steep down.
then there's a drop off coming. So it can be color, it can be the shape, but this takes a split second to decide because you're coming so fast. But again, I think it's most important to spot than that feeling 10 out of 10 will be there. Most of the time is 9 out of 10 because you're basing it on your experience, previous experience. And the desert is like waves, is not predictable all the time.
I was blown away when we went out. It's Liwa, the dunes.
Liwa,
Man, that is honestly. Me and my brother, we drove out there. So we were at the finish of stage, the second last stage. So the one before the final stage. And we drove out there from Dubai, and we went pretty much out to Abu Dhabi, and then went left, and then just drove almost. It's pretty much on the Saudi border. And phenomenal, like just the biggest dunes and like crazy colors, and there's such like a raw beauty out there. There's not trees, there's not much color, there's nothing much there, but there's so much there at the same time, if that makes sense. If
you are a dirt bike rider, this is your spot. Because this really, there's no life except these humongous dunes, and it's all opportunity to connect them the way, let's say we go for a free ride there, then you can only connect a few things to jump from here to there, like the opportunities to have a ride is crazy. To have like a dream ride is out of this world. Because really, what's the purpose of these dunes? Hey, and during the race, I remember day 4. Day 4 we were waiting on the start, and then as you start, like we were going up and up, and then the first guy, or I think we noticed it from the second guy. So I was starting 13th. And there's a gap, and the second guy, we noticed it from the second rider, one of the Honda boys, and they jumped the gap. Like hey man, nobody knows this place. Nobody knows. They just spotted. So the first guy did it. I think the second guy did it, and then the pressure built because all the cameramen coming to this spot, and it's like a proper gap jump on a rally bike, and the tanks are full. So then the guy. The rider ahead of me, Conrad, he did it. I was like, okay. Go. So it's, a lot of things you have to do it on the go. There is no, let me gauge it and come back. There's no gauging. Either you do it or not.
And then you add in the navigation. Which is crazy as well. I would be so bad. I can barely get here. with Waze, let alone having to look at the maps. That was the thing when I've known Toby before he got into rally, and then I was like, dude, you can't read. Like, how are you gonna read these maps? And then like even the other day, he did like a truck test, and after the rally, he just remembers shit. Like he could get there. It was out past like the cycling drome out there, and he was like, "Go left here." He'd been there once like 3 years ago. I was just like, bro.
I think a lot of riders can remember the stages. Really, this another thing I need to speak to the guys. And the stages, you've done it maybe once, but somehow because you're so caught in the moment, it registers. Back of your brain, and it stays there. I could remember many stages from Peru, from when the Dakar used to be in South America. Like some stages, I mean, not fully, but part of it I still can remember. It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, that is crazy. How many Dakars have you done now?
I think six or seven. I'm not sure.
Wow.
12, 18, 19... 20, Yeah, 6. I've done 6.
Is that the hardest race?
Yeah, this year was the hardest. 18 was really hard when Marcoma did the design, or how you say it, the tracks.
Yeah,
was really tough. And then this year was, I don't know what they were thinking, really tough.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was...
Plus they had the rain.
A lot of rain and so cold. So cold. And me living all my life here, it's like I don't do good in cold.
Yeah. I was talking to one of the boys, and they were saying that it was just beautiful though. Like Saudi is one of the most like spectacular in terms of the landscape and the views that you ride through, but it looks good on camera, obviously. Not that good to ride through.
No. It's very hard. We had to do a lot of trial riding. The first week was a lot of mountain, a lot of rocks, and me, I'm not so good in this. Then when we came to Empty Quarter, I started enjoying it a lot more. But I have since 2 years I had an injury with a slip disc. I have 2 slip discs, and this was bothering me one way this year a lot more than last year. So I just survival mode from day one, like this.
Yeah, no, that would be. It's like in the back of my head something that I'd love to do one day, just to try and finish the rally, but it just seems like the craziest challenge, and that you've got guys that do it solo. Completely, they do the mechanic, they do everything all by themselves.
I cannot do this. Malmoto thing is so difficult. First, I'm not a good mechanic. Second, can you imagine after riding, let's say on an average you are on the bike 10 to 12 hours on an average, and then you have to do your own maintenance. Really respect the guys who do it. They are really good, and then it takes like a special character to be able to do this. It's not easy. This is from your resting time. You need to rest and recover, but you see them working. And sometimes if it is a normal day, like just normal service and checking the spokes and changing the tire, this is easy day. But many times they have problems. They have to fix the problem, and this takes a lot more.
No, they're like Iron Man. Even because we were at the presentation night for the Desert Challenge, and then when they read out that there was that class, I was like, wait, what? Who would do that? I think someone who's mad at themselves, they just love that Navy SEAL torture, mentality. So before we went off topic, but we were talking about how much the scene has changed here in the last like 20 years. Like what's it been like to watch it kind of progress?
For me, I'm really happy to see the big changes from having one dusty club in Lawir. We have an area called Lawir. No water system, no nothing, and to now have so many tracks in the region and so many riders in the region, not only UAE. I would like to think I played a small role in developing racing scene and racing in Bahrain, in Qatar, in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia. So at that time we had one track, and it was in Dubai, and that's it. So now we have so many tracks in the region and so many races. And look now, Abu Dhabi, I think, got involved with I believe World Supercross as well last year. One of the
one of the, I think the company, the investment company.
So I would like to think that we played a role throughout the years and trying to put the sport on the map here, and trying to bring awareness about the sport in the region, in Arab world and in Asia. And I think that pays off. I think for me to see it from where it was to where it's at, and I know where it's going.
Yeah.
Is really amazing feeling, because this is something what put food on the table for my family, you know, and then I only wanted to see it in a good light, you know. I only wanted to see it in a doing good. I love it when I hear a rider got a crazy contract, you know, and this is good. This is healthy for the sport. I like the riders to be respected, to look. I think we are no less than Formula One riders, but see how they put their drivers in a good spotlight, and how we are doing to our riders. Except handful of riders on the pinnacle of our sport, only handful of riders. But why is that? You understand? And this always kind of bothers me. I think we are much better than this. You know, I think we have the numbers, we have the stories, we have the racing, amazing racing, man. To put our sport on the light that it deserves, it will do good for our sport and for all the riders, and also for the manufacturers. You know, right now everybody's just doing just enough to sustain, and then again, when we say about I like to hear a like a rider get a multi-million-dollar contract, it makes me happy. But then you compare this to other it's like it's nothing. It's like really nothing. So it's important that our job, your job, other riders' job to not let go of this, and try to put our sport and riders where they have to be, you know, like never get what Giorgio Bay told me, never get less than what you deserve. Yeah. You know, so don't have a self-worth. Yeah. You know, of what you do. In the end, is a skill that you mastered. You know, that's what is talent. Yeah. You know, and is many kids look up to all the riders, and they want to be you. But for example, many parents who were riders, they don't allow their kids to go because they know this path is
there's no future in
there's no future. If you very few, I would say maybe 5% of the entire world's riders get a kind of chance or kind of make it, or if that. Yeah. I don't think even 5%. Yeah.
And do you think that, like, you would have surely done quite a lot for like Emirati people to see this as like a potential future? Because like you said, that, you know, the people that were in your family were trying to push you into something different. Yeah. And like, so do you think that you've kind of played a role in, like, there'd be other Emirati families that would come out to MXRide or to the you know, the Dubai track, like they're seeing a little bit more of a pathway?
Yeah, now we have so many families bringing their kids. You know, now they make it or not, that's something else. But to bring their kids, this was not the case. You know, during my time as an Emirati, not only me, many other Emiratis, they started late because of the families being overprotective with their kids. Oh, no, don't, it's dangerous sport. So we had to change this idea of being dangerous. I think any sport is dangerous, but if you do it right, you will minimize that danger or the injury level in it. You know, if you do it right, if you learn. I think most of my injuries is a lesson because I did something wrong. That's why I crashed. Nobody crashes
when they do everything right.
Right. You need to have a proper position. You need to be focused. You need to be in the moment. You need to have a right stand. All of this, and then hopefully nothing can happen. You know?
I think from being around here a little bit, it seems like the UAE is a unique country in motorsports because you have ties to the highest level of the country. Yeah. And there's no, you know, like you see in the US, right? When the NFL team wins the Super Bowl, they go to the White House and they meet the president. Like, that ain't happening in Supercross. Like, when Eli Tomac wins, like, no one kind of cares. Whereas I think that's one unique thing here, is that you've got support, and Emirati riders and, you know, racers, they have support from like the highest levels in the government, and that is massive for a sport.
True, but it used to be like this for America as well. If you look at because for me, in order to learn about the sport, I had to go to the history. Yeah. You know, I remember when I got this off-nation cassettes, I remember US team, when they went to Europe to race off-nation, they met the president at that time. I think Jeff Ward was in the team. I'm not sure the exact, my memory is not so great, but they did. But then they stopped. So somebody was doing the PR work. Yeah. You know, now nobody's doing this. Yeah. Maybe you have to check it. Yeah, I'm sure. I've seen it in one of the cassettes I have. They used to go. I don't know which president, but I'm 1,000% sure that it used to happen. You know, before and after winning the off nation, but it stopped. So that means someone used to do this.
Someone dropped the ball.
Yeah, is in the end is PR, is communication. Yeah. There should be one guy.
That's so true.
You know, and that's it. It's as simple as that. I've worked so hard, and then I got my break. You know, but in the end, when I got my break, someone made that bridge. Yeah. You know? Yeah. If not for that person who made the communication, I would not have met His Highness as well. Yeah. So somebody saw what I do is worthy. Okay, let's see where it goes.
Yeah. And how important was that support? Like, do you think you could have done what you've done in your career without the support from those high level places?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because
you were going to find a way no matter what. Yeah.
It helps when you have these kind of support. It helps with your cause. It helps
even
with your vision.
Self-belief, right?
Yeah, 100%. In the end, I remember one day my first ever sponsorship was before any paid sponsorship. I walked in my house to my mom. I said, "Look, I had like X amount of Oakley goggles. I was sponsored by them." And then I got like a top-end kit given to me by KTM at that time as a support. And I walked into my mom, look, because she was always against me. It's like, hey, you should do like your cousins work. Why don't you work or start a business or something? I said, look what I got. And she looked at me, and like I looked at it from a different angle. She looked at it from a different angle. She told me, but I think you can buy all of this. And she's right. She's right. I could buy this, the whole thing in the bag. I could afford and buy it. But for me, I saw it as appreciation. So from my point of view as a rider, I was being appreciated. That's someone else's
belief in you.
It's like he sees that what I do is... He believes in it, and he can see where I can go with it. He's respecting my effort. He's rewarding my effort. For me, it was like, okay, so this is the first time I got anything for free for what I do as a passion. So that means soon the paychecks will come. Right? So it's like this, and then I just continue. For me, it was the first time of surety that what I'm doing is right. You know.
That's such a good way to say it. And because I always say to people, like, So I'm lucky enough, like I get things for free through riding, and people will always help me with like gear and with bike parts and things like that for what I do. But I always say to people, free ain't free.
Yeah.
No one's giving you something completely free. Yeah. And there's a transaction that is taking place.
Yeah.
And you're right, like, and I've never thought about it in that way. Yeah. But I think the same thing that you explained there, it's like, it's a symbol. Yeah. It's not just, it might have been a $300 piston and ring kit, which, yes, you could have afforded, but it's the fact that somebody believes in you enough that they think they're going to get a return off giving you that thing. It's not, there's no freebies in life.
No.
They're giving you this, and then you're going to give something back, and it's because you have something that they want.
100%. But the key is not to get stuck in that moment. So
where free is good enough.
Exactly. Because what is free is good enough today. Tomorrow you actually improved and you've done a lot more, so you deserve a bit more. So this is very important. You know how much you put in effort and work and a lot of compromise you've done in order to reach where you reached. You should not short sell yourself. That's important. That's what I tell all my riders. It's important not to short sell yourself.
That's so hard to commit to though, because you can lose a lot of deals like that.
That's what I say, the problem with our industry. Yeah. Because what I'm not willing to do for X, someone else is willing to do it for free.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's what and that's where a lot of companies and manufacturers take advantage of. You know, and unfortunately, I would say as a rider, you need not to short sell yourself. You need to put in work, and you need to get what you deserve, you know, and then from there you move on, and the sky is the limit. Because if you don't believe you deserve this, you know, then you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you might get something this year.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you're injured?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They will replace you like this.
Yeah. And if you haven't taken care of, like, you've stacking those chips, you just end up living like season to season to season.
Yeah. For me, because I started so late in the sport, I understood it from the beginning. Yeah. Yeah. And then it takes time and effort, and then you need to respect what you do. You know, it starts from that, and in the end, you are doing more than a lot of other sports. Really, you're doing. It's a lot more online. Yeah, it's a lot more online. Yeah, and then you should get that much.
It is hard, man, because, you know, you look at a company like KTM. I mean, it would frustrate me seeing in Australia, like, COVID hit, and it seemed like it was just an excuse. All the riders got fired, all the teams, they closed down the budgets, but they made more money through that period than they ever have before. And it's not just, I'm just using KTM as an example. It's, you know, not a crazy dig at them, but there were so many companies that did that. And, you know, I would sort of think that, yeah, you're right. Like, you can't just take the money while it's good and expect that it's going to stay good. It's like when that much money flows into the industry, there should be like a double the investment in the sport itself, because it's only going to get better for the future if you do that, you know?
Yeah. I agree.
You wish that you could make the decisions for some of these companies, I guess, because you can see the future a little bit clearer.
Yeah, and for me is like the reward system is not at its place where it should be, you know. Like sometimes when you see with friends, like they are not familiar with the sport, at that time there was like a whole shot money. Yeah. And they put the board, like some of the races, like $100. I was like, man, you know, and these, like from this side, I mean, $100 is $100, but it's still, we're talking about these guys are the best of the best, and they are holding this massive. I think the board costs maybe $100
yeah.
or $1,000. I don't know.
Yeah,
and it's just cheapening the sport. So
I
for
agree.
me, I didn't like this. A lot of things, bragging for something you should not be bragging about, you know. The promoter, they will push this, but hey, it's just you putting the sport in a bad light. Of course, if a privateer wins that whole shot money, $1,000 maybe, but how unlikely
is it that he's gonna do that?
you know. So I would say, like, when you compare it to golf, look at the purse, that what they get, you know, each meeting, how much, the net worth of each athlete is how much, and you compare it to that, and then they say, but we don't sell.
Of course we do.
We do. But then golf is not a popular sport like soccer, for example. I don't know. I know maybe one friend of mine
who likes soccer.
Who likes golf.
Oh, golf.
One friend of mine who likes golf. I know. Of course, I'm surrounded with riders, but I have non-rider friends, and from them is one guy who plays golf. And that's it. So, I mean, I'm using golf as an example, you know. So I would say the winning or the prize money should be there. Now, regardless if it is, you don't want to put the prize money so high because the factory guys already get paid or whatever. No, you put it because the high prize money will put the sport in a good place.
It's so true.
You need to put these stuff. This stuff
you
matters.
set your own value.
It's like, look at tennis. You know,
it becomes prestigious then.
Exactly. It has to be prestigious. Where the parents think, okay,
this is worthwhile.
Yes.
Because every kid's like, I'm gonna put my kid into soccer. I'm gonna put my kid into tennis. I'm gonna put my kid into golf. But and you're right. Like, so I have this conversation a lot with AMA riders, and that's been one of the things that I've tried to push a lot in the last couple of years, is this whole rider pay conversation. And then the pushback that I get from people, especially some fans of the sport too, where they're like, we don't want it to turn into this, and we don't want, like, we shouldn't have money, like motocross is an average guy sport. But it's like, I just don't get that logic. I don't understand when people would say that they wouldn't want these guys to be getting paid, or that money's gonna ruin a sport, because it does set it's the optics of the non-rider. Like, when you're the friend that you're talking about that doesn't ride, that doesn't know about the sport, when you hear that they're racing for $100, it seems stupid. It seems pointless. And then when you go, this guy gets, how much does he get if he wins this race? $5,000. People are just like, cool. Like, why bother doing that? You know, whether that's right or wrong, you know, whether money shouldn't matter, it does at the end of the day. And there's people that watch golf because, and there's a thing as well that it switches in your mind. If you know that a guy has to sink a putt that's 5 foot long for $5 million, you understand, people can understand and relate to the pressure. They can understand to the importance. You don't have to know anything about golf. You don't have to know anything about putting. You don't have to know anything about reading greens. Like, you don't have to know shit. You know that it would be a lot of pressure to hit that tiny ball into that tiny hole for $5 million. And it's worth watching. People can stop what they're doing in their busy daily life. It's the same as a horse race. You get a huge prize packet that comes along. It's the pressure. Like, that's the thing that people can relate to. And whether you can relate to riding a horse, I've never ridden a horse before, but I know that it's gnarly to try and race a horse for that much money.
True. I would say good feeling is contagious. You You know, like laughter is contagious. You know, you can go to any laughing, exercising play or stand up. Sometimes if you just hear the stand up without the crowd,
not
you
that
will not.
funny.
You know, so laughing and good feeling is really contagious. So that moment where he's putting the ball in this hole is a pressure moment, and everybody's rooting for this guy. Because this good feeling is contagious. You know, they want to feel, they want to relate, they want the other to succeed. And some people, they are addicted to bad feeling. There will be some people rooting against. You know, they are negative people. They like to be associated with negativeness. But majority of human, they like good energy, good feel. That's why we watch good feel movies. You know, you know, like a comeback stories.
And the hero.
So this,
the
so
hero's journey.
if that pressure moment is caused, the checker flag at that moment on the final heat costs $10 million. Can you imagine how much eyeballs you'll have on that moment on watching our sport? So it is, like you said, I would say this moment is created by this pressure that you give the athlete to perform to his highest level, to be right there, because the stake is
so high. And then you're so right, like, because what are we watching sport for? We want to feel. Like, we want to feel something, whether it's, like you said, whether it's you're rooting for the person or against the person. And like, boxing's the best example of that. You know, Floyd Mayweather's worth over $1 billion because people wanted to see him lose. Like, they hated him to where they wanted to see him lose. Or like a person like Mike Tyson, it's the opposite. You know, people want to see him win. They just want that, and there's so much on the line that's attached to it. And then like the glitz and the glam that comes with it. And you look at Formula One. I mean, for years, Formula One hasn't been the best racing.
No,
it's not that they're not getting paid the most money because it's the most entertaining form of racing. You can't, when you go to it, you can't even see the whole track. You know, but there's prestige and there's money on the line, and it's like, and we're not, you know, you're not watching a sport like Formula One because you can relate to it. Or because you can go and buy one of those cars on Monday, and you wanna buy the car that won the race. It's just not. It's not how it works.
100%.
So yeah, I agree with you. Do you think it's going to get better?
I hope, with this now World Supercross, and I think we need a series where it is any series can start with this crazy prize money, like high prize money, where all the riders and factories are forced to go to this one. You know, and then it will start. I think one series, any series, has to do this, and I think everybody will gravitate towards it. You know, like, why we don't have a proper series? Like, we do have MXGP, and then we do have AMA, but why we don't have a series where you have the best, like the Motocross of Nation, but instead of being once a year, it's somehow it's up for grab X amount. You know. And then you collect, instead of collecting points, your points is worth X amount. You know. And then the riders will be motivated. And I think as well, like, especially the thing that's so exciting. Well, I've actually heard that there is going to be a factory team in World Supercross this year. Nice.
So I actually think that that's probably going to start. You probably will start seeing what you've kind of spoke about. But and I think there's such a weird mentality where people think that America's the only place where people ride motocross. Or it's so like condensed. But like you said, there's tracks in Saudi, Kuwait, Jordan, Israel. Like, there's so many of these places that have, a huge following. I mean, even like in India's massive population of riders, like the sport is so closed off to the rest of the world, it seems like. And I think that as that opens up, there's way more people that ride motorcycles than drive cars.
Yeah.
Globally.
Yes.
I mean, it should be, motorcycle racing should be, I think, the biggest and most like the wealthiest sport.
I hope. This motorcycle is like soccer of the motorsport.
For sure. 100%. Yeah. Because you go through like Indonesia.
Yeah.
It's all motorcycle.
Yeah.
There's so many places in the world where you don't even, it's like almost impossible to own a car.
I raced in Indonesia Asian Championship in 2004, 4, I think. A 10th of 1,000 people came to watch the race. Like really sea of people. Really, at that time. Crazy. I race in Indonesia, in Philippines. Like the crowd is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think last year they were supposed to go to Indonesia for the World Supercross, but I don't think the stadium was ready. Apparently, and then surely I know this year there won't be a Middle East Supercross, but surely when Supercross comes to the Middle East, like you'd have to think that would be pretty big. Do you think that if they did like I don't name a stadium, like a Etihad Arena, or if they did a Supercross in a stadium here, like do you think they'd sell that out?
Oh yeah,
really?
Because it's really nice. Racing is really nice to watch.
Yeah,
and is a lot happens. You know, I like the new this Triple Crown thing.
Yeah,
shorter races, a lot more can happen. You know, instead of everybody settling down to their positions. So if you create something like this, close racing, I think maybe the first year not, but you need to have patience with everything. I think by next year, if the year one you had good racing, close racing, then for sure next year you'll have a stadium full.
Yeah,
sure.
Where would you do it? If it, like, let's say the World Supercross guys come to you and was like, hey, you're the dude, you're the man in the UAE for dirt bikes, where should we do the Supercross? Like, what should the plan be?
I would say between Abu Dhabi or Dubai. So in Abu Dhabi we have Coca-Cola Arena, we have this cricket stadium. In Abu Dhabi, one of the football clubs, you know. But everything has to, I think it again, back to our earlier point, it has to be communicated well, PR well. You know, you can bring the top of the top and you don't do much campaign behind it, nobody will come. You can bring normal riders, but you can pump the media and the with the banners, with a lot of PR work, you will have a house full.
Yeah.
So it's important how you sell it to the people, because people have money and time.
Yeah.
You know, and these two key elements you want.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And the population here is not as big as some of the Asian countries we mentioned, but still we have roughly 10 million people living here, and we need let's say 30,000.
Yeah. Yeah, like
it's possible.
Yeah. So where would we get the dirt from though? Where has good clay?
Here we
How far do we have to go to get the clay?
This I think with what we tried with our place, we use sabkha. This is something you guys don't have. Is a good material which can hold together. It's not clay, but the only problem is it deteriorates a little bit faster than clay. But if the option is to bring something from outside, or there is no option to bring something from outside, so you can use this, and maybe you can put the what you call it, hay bale.
Like the mulch kind of thing.
Yeah, you mix it with that, and then it should be okay.
How far would you have to go to get clay here?
We do have some clay in Northern Emirates. It's not much. but there is some.
Yeah, because I think that'd be the biggest challenge for like a legit supercross here. But I think that what they'd have to do is they'd have to just invest, like it costs money for the first year, but then you just have to get your clay, and then once you got enough of it, just store it and probably build the base out of the dirt that you're talking about. But I think once they do that and just put it on the calendar every year, and I mean the people here are just crazy about racing, like you said.
If you have enough clay to make for 2 separate stadiums, let's say in the future there are 2 rounds coming to Middle East, then you always, one is ready, then the other one is moving kinda. Then you can store it with clays. Here we have so many warehouses, you can store in a compound or somewhere. I think it happens at some point for sure. I thought this year it was going to happen, but I think it'll probably be next year. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm so stoked for it, because it's just to see it be like, motorcycles are so global. Like I'm literally sitting here looking at all these places that you can, you know, take a motorcycle and you know, just to not have it represented all over the world. I mean, I just think we're missing out on so many fans, and it's like when you, by bringing in all of those people, that's what I think can start to elevate, because there's no question, I mean, I guess we all know, but there's just no question that some of the athletes are just, some of the best athletes in the world.
Yeah, they are. And we need to really keep, how you say it, protect them. Protect our athletes. I would say if we had a good, again, back to this point, I don't want to keep repeating it. If we have a good reward system, people will not retire so soon as well. So now unfortunately, once we have a good name, like as soon as he started being well known and like he's peaking, he would retire. Like the guys would retire 26-7, you know. I would say.
How old's Ronaldo?
I don't know, 36,
Messi, all those guys.
36, yeah. So it's important, because once you reach this level, let's say 26-7, you made a brand name for yourself. Then you can ride it out. You know, you can stay. Now what the guys are doing, they're retiring and they're using some small races because they don't want to go through this and through the hard work that they did. You know, they don't want to risk it anymore because they know the reward system is not fair. It's not fair. The reward system is effort to money ratio is really,
and then you add the risk.
You add the risk. So if you make that gap good, then the guys you will see will have a lot more guys retiring very late. And that's what we need in the sport. Because what happens is when top riders, they retire so soon, factories has no problem. There's MX2 guys who replace. It's okay. But if this guy stays, they know he's a threat. Because now he's more experienced. He's unlikely to be beaten. So he will name his price. You know, so this both ways.
So we'll switch gears a little bit. What was it? What was it like when you went to America to study? What did you study, and like, what was that whole experience like, man? Because that would have been a trip.
But this you will make my mom cry. I didn't. I was studying in Citrus College in East Glendora, LA.
Okay.
But I never finished. I did because remember, going from here, I knew zero English. So
really?
I had to,
so you didn't know any English?
No, nothing. Zero. Then we did language center for 6 months, and then at that time I was applying for TOEFL, studying, and every time failing. And then finally I passed. But then I don't know, with everything I get bored, you know, with a lot of things, and I didn't want to continue. So I did from 96 to 98, and then I came back here. And but a lot of good memories in America, a lot of good memories. being a teenager with friends, no parents.
Yeah.
And we are very family-oriented people here. We live all our life with our parents. Even after marriage, we stay together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we cannot take care of them like they take care of us.
Yeah.
So it's like this. So to go away, just boys, you can only imagine.
And so how big was religion in your life at that point when you were like that 18, 19?
Yeah, I do. Still, I would call myself at that time as well religious.
Yeah. So there was no like kind of, did it loosen when you went over there, or it was like, because it's a different time?
Yeah, it's different time, but you do the prayers, 5-time prayers, but then you being a boy as well, you know. So I don't want to use the word balance, because there is no balance. It should be one way.
Yeah.
But in my head, I always, when it comes to prayers and God, is one thing, and then doing this, because I believe He forgives. So
yeah. So culturally, was it a shock to go there and to see?
Yeah.
Because there's such a, and I guess I know you personally, and like I know the way that you are, and there's such, like, you're such a value driven guy, and I can imagine that California in the late 90s was probably a pretty big kind of shock to go and to see that lifestyle, the way other people were living, and maybe the foods and all of the different kind of things that you would have been exposed to.
A big culture shock, and also funny as well, because in the language center we had all mixed nationalities, from Asian, Indians, Indians speaks, they were with us in the college, but I mean Asian, South Americans, so there's a lot of funny stories, and with the Americans was big culture shock with the food, the amount of food, everything is upsized, and it's different. With the family, you see how they treat their family comparing to us. Like, there are a lot of things will not fly here, how they were behaving with their parents.
What kind of stuff?
Like talking back. Here you don't talk back. You talk back, you get smacked. So it's like it's different, but like we respect, this is how they are, and I hope they respect this is how we are as well. So it's completely different. I felt also when I was there, the culture is very motivated culture. It's like well driven, want to too much pride, American, like this. So this I picked up a lot from there, I think, without picking it up.
It just influenced you.
So this was a big part, like 4th of July, how it was, how proud Americans are, because remember at that time our country was only 20 something years old. I don't think a lot of people understand that the UAE is only 50 years old. UAE is only 8 years older than me.
That's crazy, huh?
He's like my big brother.
So I was here for the national holiday when I was here last time, and there was all the, is it 50 years? It was, am I right? And
51 now,
I was just like, what? Like, even I thought Australia was young, and we're just over 200 years old. But I mean, even that in itself, like, is such a, I guess, like a weird thing to go through. And then you go to America, and it's just hundreds of years of history.
We, our country was formed, or got united in 71. So it's really young country comparing to European countries or America. It's very, very young.
So what was it before?
Was each Emirates.
So each Emirate was its own, like,
its
kingdom,
own identity.
essentially?
It was an emirate.
Okay.
So what's
an emirate mean?
Emirate is like a state.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it is like state, but there is a Arabic word. I would say yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
So Emirate is just an Arabic word for state, essentially.
Yeah. It's like this. Yeah.
And then so how did the country change when it was, I guess, like formed into a country?
Oh, change a lot because I think nothing more beautiful than unity.
Yeah.
You know, and is a driving force.
Yeah.
You know, just to have a united before your country name is a big deal.
True.
United Arab
yeah.
Emirates. So all these 7 Arabs got united and formed a country. It just put you in a strong place.
Yeah.
And the outcome you see now, you know, these countries. Okay, the oil was found in Abu Dhabi in 60s, but look, it took some time to form this country, and this is where I think is our power comes from. You know, to have 7 head of states agreeing on who is the leader, and then each emirate has his own also ruler, you know, and I think it works. This system works for us. You know, really it works for us. For us, we just focus on ourselves, on our studies. After that, see, we have a lot of infrastructure, a lot of hospitals, a lot of schools been built. You know, a lot of opportunities came out of it.
Yeah, that's one thing. Anna got sick last week, and we went to one of the hospitals, and we just sort of looked up what was like the best hospital that we could go to. What was the name of that? Oh, she's got headphones. It was it was in Sharjah, and it was brand new, and it's like a teaching hospital. Yeah, just insane facilities. Yeah, like I couldn't believe like the level that it was at. And you're right, like that whole concept of like unity and going forward, because it must be such like the original vision of Dubai when the first sheikh said like this is what it's gonna be. Like that's a crazy vision from sand, you know, sand and the ocean, to see, you know, what he thought it could be, and then for it to actually become like it's one of the hubs of the world now.
I went to a place where this unity took place, and I could only, if I said to the guys who were with me, if we have a time machine to go back, we go back to this time to see the conversation, how it took place, because today it's so difficult to get 7 brothers to agree on one thing. Can you imagine? A lot is on the line, and then they all agreed, and how they convince each other, and how they saw what we have now, the vision. You know, it is pretty remarkable. It is really, and it is not easy, you know, to agree on something. Even now, if we talk, if I bring other subject, maybe we will disagree, but to agree and to put people's to put the country and the people's benefit ahead of yours, it takes a special character to go from that point forward, you know. It's remarkable how at that time it took place and it went forward, and it did not fall, because usually sometime after unity or after 2-3 years it could have fallen
quite
apart
easily,
because actually the English they bet on that it will not last.
They shorted the whole thing, right?
Yeah, they thought it will not last. A lot of people thought it will not last, but it lasted, and it became more stronger, and God bless 500 more years, 1,000 years.
And even not that it got not like, even take away the fact that there was like no division and no fighting and no, like, they stayed a United Arab Emirates, but then add in the fact that the vision succeeded.
Yeah.
Like, what? It's such an underdog story.
Yeah.
Like, if you said that okay, where there's not much here, like, it's funny, like, I find it really interesting talking to people that have been here 30 years, 40 years, to say like, oh, it was just this one road. And the guy that was, I can't remember his name, but he was one of the guys that was working with Toby when he was driving the other day.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I've been coming here for 30 years. And every year he'd come back and there was a kilometre and a half of this, like, progress. He's like, it's just unbelievable that they actually did it. And there must have been, I guess, like, just the balls of like the original leaders to just be like, we're doing it. And you'd know that the oil had run out at some point. Like, that's the other crazy thing, is it's not like the oil's forever. No. And that it's like you've just got this unlimited supply. It's like, we've got this much, we're risking our entire country on this thought that we can make these cities that will bring people from all over the world. That's a big gamble.
Yeah. I think it has to do with vision. You know, once you vision it and you as a visionary person believes in it, people will follow. You know, and to be a leader is important, to be a genuine one and lead your people, and the nation will follow. Dubai does not have, by the way, any petrol. When it had a short amount, a small amount, and it vanished way back.
That's what people think, though. People think that it's still like this unlimited tap. It wasn't like that. They
built the city from, like, the investment was there. Okay, we have this. What should we do? Boom, build this. The vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid and his father Sheikh Rashid Al Maktoum. It took some believing, you know, and this comes with time and with the struggle they've been through. You know, everything. You know, when you don't have something and then you get an opportunity that to change it, you appreciate that much more. Like now, my kids, they ask me funny stuff because they have everything, this iPad, phone, and all, easy life. They talk to me sometimes. So you used to go on a horse or a camel to the? I said, no, I'm not that old. I used to go in a car, but they don't understand. I've seen the struggle, but I did not live it fully like my parents did. So for them, when they saw this opportunity, of course they're gonna grab on and they're gonna invest all.
It's almost like they had nothing to lose.
Yeah. I think when you don't have something and something appear and you get an opportunity to do something about it, you'll go for it because it's a life-changing moment. And for us, it was that. For us, I think is a dream, a vision, and it's successful. I wish I can answer this better than I'm answering it, but
no.
I'm finding finding words. I'm finding hard to find words to describe. Once I said it, sometimes I feel like I wish I'm not an Emirati to say good things about this country.
Yeah.
So it's not doesn't look.
You
understand?
Yeah.
We have really the best healthcare. We have the best schools. We have the best infrastructure. We have. If you have, I don't think you can get bored in Dubai. In UAE, you can do a lot with your free time. If you have free time, you don't need to travel.
Yeah.
You know, to escape.
Yeah.
This is your, you know, the key is we kept our tradition.
Yeah.
We didn't lose our identity.
Yeah.
That's really important key.
And what do you think that comes down to? That's leadership again?
Is the upbringing,
Yeah.
the family, the culture.
Yeah.
Like the not losing the faith, the Islam is important. It's a key role forming our, developing our Islam is the key.
That's the foundation.
Yeah, that's the foundation, and our culture is built around the belief of Islam.
There's that's funny you say like you wish you were an Emirati to like say the good things, because I see what you're saying there, but there's no crime, like there's no, you know, I was doing so much research before I moved here, obviously, and you'd see these videos of people that would, like, I don't know if you've ever seen, but they go to the beach and they film and they just put their Rolex on a towel. Yeah. And then they walk away and they're just filming and seeing that, you know, they're trying to say like people just don't steal things here. You know, there's such I guess there is like this cultural significance around doing the right thing. Like you can't give people the finger when you drive. You know, there's like
no, this is a big no.
Dude, I actually didn't know that. Shout out to Ollie for telling me as well, because I'm like getting. There's a lot of immigrants here. Yeah. And if you go to Pakistan and drive, or if you go to India, like we can all agree that there's a different style of driving. Yeah. So that style's here a little bit. And the first 2 weeks, I'm like, so people are honking me, and I'm just like getting so angry. And Ollie's like, bro, you can't give anyone the finger. No, like you can't. There's these hard no's that you can't do. But there's. You might think that sounds like I don't know, like a bad thing in a sense, but it's like once you kind of get into that flow, it's very peaceful. Like there's lines that you don't cross, and people respect those boundaries, and it's safe. You can leave your door unlocked, you can leave a Rolex on the beach, like and there are so many places in the world where you can't even wear a Rolex in London. It's like you're
gonna get stabbed.
It's a crazy popular thing now that you cannot wear a nice watch in London because it'll get robbed, and you know, so you're right, like there are some values here that they seem to have really infiltrated into society, and it's not just a rule. It's a rule people follow, because there's rules all over the world. But there's just people don't seem to follow, to respect the rules. You know, whereas here there is a culture around. It seems like doing the right thing.
Yes. Yes to all of that.
The other thing that I have found myself enjoying more than I thought I would was the prayers too. I've never really been exposed. I'd never come to the Middle East before I came here the first time when we met, and I'd never really been exposed to the prayers and there's something quite special about that as well. Like when you're in that environment and you're seeing the level of dedication that people have to it, like it's quite a cool thing to be a part of.
It's basically leaving your busiest time to meditate. This is the prayers is our meditation before this thing became a hip. The word I'm meditating, or you know, it is really that, because no matter how stressed you are, to leave whatever you're doing for that moment, for that 5 minutes. Prayer takes on an average 5 to 10 minutes max.
Which
prayer,
is what
5.
I would do meditating is 10 minutes roughly.
Yeah. So we do it 5 times a day. It just keeps you humbled and shows you nothing is worthy. Nothing really. So whatever amount of pressure you're putting on yourself or stress you're taking, stressing about a lot of worldly thing, you for that 5-10 minutes you forget, you bow down to God and you pray. It just brings you calmness. So I think there is that, and I would say we are very we hold on to this a lot more. I think majority of the Arab world and Islamic world, they are like this as well. But this is a key factor in our culture, the prayers. I remember there was a GCC soccer game in Bahrain, and then a friend of mine, and I think UAE was playing semi-finals or something, and then my Bahraini friend said, man, he said, you Emirati, you filled all our mosques, because he's not used to seeing this many people praying. Here I would say we are very
I've noticed it more here than anywhere that I've ever been.
He's very
even the other day I was at the IDEX in Abu Dhabi, and I was walking out of there. I actually felt weird because I was walking out of there and there was a bunch of guys that were doing roadworks, and it was prayer time,
and they stopped,
and I felt weird that I was walking past them during it. Like I almost felt like I should stop and not necessarily do the same thing, but I should at least like kind of stop what I was doing as well. But it's down to like, it's everybody, you know, everybody is
and everybody is same at that time. You know, so no matter if you are a doctor, engineer, road worker, or guy who cleans the bin, whoever, cook, at that time everybody standing shoulder to shoulder and praying to one God, and that's the unity. So this helps, because if the religion says we are all equal, and then
prove it,
and then one leader comes and say, hey, let's unite these 7 states or 7 emirates together. I think it's appealing, because you kind of grow up learning from Islam that unity is the key, no difference. And then you go to Mecca and you see white Muslim, Asian Muslims, black Muslims, Arab Muslims, and that's really nice to see. We are all united, and we fight over stupid things. And I think that's the shame part about it, is that there's it's the same in any religion, but there's just that anytime there's like the conflict or anything, it seems to overshadow the guy that's on the street that's stopping the work on the road at, you know, I think it must have been 7:30 or something, 8 o'clock at night, and is you know, on his knees doing his thing. It's like, I feel like that should be the focus, you know. And it's funny, like the first time we were hanging out here, we were having a conversation about like meditation, and I'd never looked at the prayer 5 times in that sense of meditation, and you know, you explained it to me in that way. I was like, man, it just makes so much sense, because what I'm trying to do when I take my 10 minutes to, like this morning I woke up a little bit earlier than my alarm, and I had time, and that's just the first thing that I did. I was like, I've got a little bit of extra time, and it's all, I woke up in my head, in my thoughts, thinking about this. I actually had a bad dream that this went really bad, and I woke up, but I was like, that was the thing that I had, my mind was racing, and it calmed me down, you know, like that was the first kind of thing. And it's all about ego, and I guess I'd never really looked at prayer in any sense, not just in the Islam sense of just like giving up your ego, giving up whatever important thing that you're doing through the day to, you know, to take that time, and then you come out of it in just such a different way. You come out of it, it lasts. That's why we have 5. It lasts for some time until your ego catch up back to you, and then it's like again a reminder. But it is good to like face what you're doing on daily basis. It just put you on the right frame of mind, you know. So it is like this for me during the races. It helps me, because I get so nervous, especially like I said, from 18 till now, my confidence not there. It helped me a lot there praying these 5 times, and it just because as a rider you are in a bubble, kind of, you are in your own world, you know. So for me it allows me to leave that bubble, and nothing is worth my stress, you know, like it little bit, it shows me that it is a game, you know, and it is okay, you know, it's okay to fail, it's okay to not be your 100%, you know, it's okay if you're not what you used to be, but as long as you are here today, you're showing up, and that's what matters, you know, like this. So it takes me out of that bubble, and yeah, it helps a lot with that matter.
When you're, so like, let's replace the word prayer with meditation, right? So for like in the Western sense, right? Okay. So when you're when you're doing your prayer 5 times a day, there's like the classical feeling that's associated with meditating of like, you're not thinking anymore, you're like super present in the moment. Do you have like that zone that you get into that maybe like a Western person would want to get into with meditation? Do you get into that in prayer in that same sense? I don't know if I'm articulating the question.
Yeah, I understand your question. I think in Arabic,
that blank sorta.
In Arabic we have a saying says there is a difference between prayers and habits. So فرق بين عادة وعبادة. So there are some guys, they just pray because it's a habit, because this is how they grew up, and he's never in the moment. And then there is ibadah, which is really you are caught up in this action and you're praying and you're being right there, and that's, you get the benefit more, of course. So I try as much as possible to be in that moment, and we recite Quran and try to focus on what I'm saying, and really, because what we are all struggling is finding that moment, to live that moment. And this is really, I find it only 2 places, when I pray or when I ride. I'm living that moment. For me, this, otherwise, like now when you talk, I'm listening to you, but my brain is doing other things. Thinking about other things, thinking about the answer.
Conversation, where it's going.
There's a lot of noise happening in my head. But when I'm riding, majority of the time I'm busy and occupied with what I'm doing, you know, like need to be focused, otherwise I will land.
You'll be thinking about what you're going to say at the podium when you beat Toby.
So and when I pray, so we all seek that living in the moment. And something about that, because we are so occupied either about our past or what's coming in the future. And usually when you think about the future, there's a lot of anxiety and stress and pressure, because you want to achieve a lot of things, you know, like you only think about future, about what's happening, how I'm gonna achieve this, how I'm gonna move to Dubai from Australia, how I'm gonna pay the bills, and with that comes the stress. So you're causing harm to your health. So being in the moment, this is the best thing, and is the most difficult thing to do, to be in this moment, not to blame and kick yourself in the behind
for things you didn't do in the past.
And not to stress what's coming. But as a human nature, it's very difficult not to do, not to be caught in either. So the prayer is there to be in that moment and be appreciative and be thankful for this life, and be appreciative of what you've been given, you know. And for me, it's riding as well. Same, when I ride, I cannot be in that moment.
And so when you, as someone that's spent so much time in prayer, how do you, like, are you able to just get into that moment? Like, have you nailed it? Like,
I found for me, I have a one way. I have a routine I do, and I try to catch myself. I try to focus on that moment. Now it's difficult to explain for the people who hasn't prayed, but I focus on my bowing a lot more, and it's
I'm interested, so go into as much detail as you want.
When you're standing, where to look, you need to look where you're gonna bow down. So for me, I try to focus on that one spot and not move not wander with my eyes, like focus on that. When we bow down on our knees, on halfway, and I try to stretch, try to be on the right posture as possible, and I try to hold it. And then when we bow down, you need to have your forehead, your hands, your knees, and your toes, like so. Not your nails hitting the ground. No, your toes, your bottom of your toes, all the way your ball of the feet kinda hitting. And that, I believe, it fixes also your kind of posture as well, to be in
almost
that position.
Like a yoga pose kind of.
Yeah, and then you come back to like where you have your feet under you, where you're sitting on them, and that also stretches your what you call this muscle?
Like your hips?
Not
like
the hips.
Quad?
The quadriceps.
Yeah.
And you sit in that moment for a brief time, and then you go back to bowing down with your forehead, and then back to stretch, to sit. So it's like this. So if you focus on the action of what you're doing and being in that moment, instead of thinking, oh, I didn't pay the water bills, or I didn't pay this, or I didn't get my sponsorship money, I need to go, then you are not being in that moment, and you recite Quran, and you thank God when you bow, and you also, you can ask, I have a lot of requests. I have a lot of requests all the time. And he said, you ask and I shall give.
No, I find I guess, but it was actually before we met, like the first time we had like a pretty good conversation about this when I first met. I would have thought that I would have had nothing to learn from religion. Like I feel like I'd kind of put that to bed. There was nothing more for me to learn. And for me, whether, like I think I may have even said it to you, but whether there's something after life, whether there's, I think to me, like, I'm not sure I'm worried about that in that sense. I think I find it's so difficult to live this life. But all that aside, after we spoke, I could definitely see that there actually is quite a lot to learn, that I can, that can help with life in general in that. And I guess I'd never looked at prayer in that sense, in terms of a meditation sense. And meditation's a big part of my life. And so to hear that, it just completely changed my perspective on the goal and of like the reason that you guys practice the way that you practice,
because the biggest like we say, the disease or harmful for your body is
stress and
ego. So ego and stress. So ego, it goes away because you are in front of something much greater than you are. No matter what you achieve, no matter what you've accomplished, you are nothing. You are maybe the guy who hasn't achieved much in life. He's better in his eyes than you've achieved so much. Maybe he's done something far more worthy in God's eyes than you've ever done. Where he hasn't achieved nothing in life, but he's that much more closer to him than I am. So in that moment, you need to put your ego outside of the mosque, or outside of your start of the prayer. So this is important. I would say always being humble. I think because no matter what you've done, you cannot be bigger than life. You need to be humble always, and this helps you to be humble. So this is a key, and I think the biggest disaster anybody can face when they are not humble, when they are ego driven, and they think the world owes them everything, and they are greater than life. you will see this guy will have a lot more problems, or starting to have a lot more problems. You see, all the successful guys in life, they are humble.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, for when you say that, like, you're not bigger than if you call it God or whatever a person calls it, and I think that's probably like my realization, is that the ego is within something. The ego, I'm not I'm not bigger than whatever I'm within. And it's whether it's just like, even the fact that you're alive and having an experience, that's the thing that I think I try and be thankful for. It's just the fact of experiencing, like, I'm alive and I'm having it. I know that I'm here having an experience. That to me is like, I guess the thing that I hold in the highest regard, is that, like, I'm actually here and I'm getting to have this experience, and then everything else falls within that, including my ego. My ego is like the center of that, but I'm so much, if you stop and you remove the ego, and if you take the time, where for me it's like meditation, but you'll see that the ego is just within this kind of infinite thing. Like, there's no boundary to, like, you can look through a telescope and see forever, like that exists within you in a sense, so it's like to stop and see that every single day, like you said, that's the thing that kind of keeps you humble. And I think that that's one of the reasons I talk about, I guess, meditation so much, or taking that time and trying to learn that process, is because I feel like my life's gotten a lot better from seeing that. And I think that if you see that, then you can't, and if you see it every day, you can't help to have a certain level of humility around that.
100%. Yes.
Well, this has been an amazing podcast. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the help that you've given me so far being here. So this will be the first podcast that goes out from the new spot in the UAE. I definitely think we'll do it again at some point, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you. Really, for me, I was not ready to talk, because really I like what you do. You put our sport on a great light. It's amazing. This is what we need more of, So when you ask me, I was like, yeah, man, I haven't achieved. That's why I said I don't feel like I'm worthy of this interview. There are much greater athletes to be sitting here, but I'm very humbled and honored to have this time with you, to have this chat with you, and hopefully we ride soon as well.
Yeah. Hey, I don't see you as an athlete though. Like, you having this chat is just a really good dude that I've met along the way. So, but what's next, I guess? So you've got the World Rally stuff coming up. So that's the next kind of thing. Yeah. We go to Qatar and then to Spain in April. Yeah, and then just on the grindstone, you've got more plans with MXRide. Oh, you know one thing we haven't spoke about? When are you getting those Sand World Championship race at MXRide? What's the deal? This we are trying. There was a lot of negotiation with the FIM, and then our FIM representative here, EMSO, and then it kind of fell apart. Then they started already, the series. Now I've been asked to form a committee. Yeah. And then with this committee, we apply to get the round, because the interest was always from the promoters of this Sand World Cup series. So we are trying, hopefully by next year. I don't want to say it because so hopefully we trying to get it. Yes. Yeah. What's the process like? Is there anything I can help with to do that? I need to now I need to be out of it. I need to form a committee, hand over the names to our federation, and then all the negotiation should be through our federation with the FIM and the promoter of the Sand World Cup series. I think this to have these kind of races is for our region, and now I'm speaking to you as bringing up riders from the region, is far more greater than having a Supercross here. Supercross is good for the sport.
sand cross Baja races is good for the guys who's
from
coming.
here.
Because their story will be more closer to mine.
Yeah.
So they will be good in the sand, so.
Yeah, there's some phenomenal riders here.
Yeah, so I would say to have something like this is important.
I don't think that you can have a sand world championship without being at MXRide Dubai. That is the sand right there. And you've had
endless.
Hurlings has been there. You've had all of the Dakar guys. Doherty. I mean, there's some Sam Sunderland. Like, there's some amazing guys here, and it is a crazy racetrack. So, whatever I can do to help that race come here, and if it is here, I'll be doing my thing to try and help with that, because that's one thing that I'm excited for being here. Hopefully, I can bring a little bit more awareness to the place that you've got out there, because it's something else. Like, I've been to a lot of places. That's something else.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for this.
Appreciate it, brother. We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, GYPSYTales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.